Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about custom domains for web apps, for email and SEO features. So your hosts today are going to be myself, Sophie Mawini. I'm a product solutions manager here at Fliplet. We are also going to be joined by our CTO, Simon Chapman, who's going to help me run through this as well. Okay, so quickly to go over our agenda. We're going to run this webinar for about 30 minutes. We have a few important things that we want to talk to you about. So we're going to be going over our custom email domain feature. We're going to be going over our custom web domain feature, some SEO benefits that are involved with that. And then we're going to kind of talk to you about when this will be available for you and how can you get it. If anyone has any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A chat. We will carve out some time at the end of this to answer any of those questions for you. They'll all come to us privately, and we can go ahead and answer them for you. Okay, so we are super excited to introduce you to these new two features that we are building. They really are being built to allow you some more control around your apps and web apps within Fliplet. So the first one is going to be our custom email domain. So this is going to allow you to easily set up and manage your custom email addresses from within our platform, allowing you to kind of create that consistent brand experience. The second one is our custom web and SEO features. So we'll talk more about both of these, but this is going to allow you to use a custom web domain for your Fliplet apps and how SEO will kind of be included in that and help you improve your overall visibility of your web app. So before we begin, high level, why are we building these really? Why have we determined that these are important for Fliplet, for customers, and for our business? So feedback from clients over, the past couple of years is that they really do want a little bit more control and customization over their Fliplet apps and web apps. So obviously our tool is great to help you build bespoke custom web apps and apps, but there still are pieces of it that could kind of have some additional customization to it. So two of those points are our emails. So for those of you that use email or Fliplet currently, you'll know that all of our apps, emails that coming out of them are coming from support@fliplet.com or a similar email address. Going forward with this customization, you'll be allowed to send those from a domain of your choosing. So something like your own specific business name. Also, if you have a web app built or if you've used a web app before, you know that the URL to get to that web app is currently in apps@fliplet.com. The little your app bit at the end is customizable, but still kind of fully controlled by Fliplet. So with the customization, you're allowed to fully select your own web domain and have that be the direct domain that you are linked to your web page. So super excited for the possibilities of this, and we've been working really hard to deliver them for you. So again, as we were putting this webinar together, we wanted to highlight some benefits of each of these new features for you, and we've kind of come to the conclusion that they have a lot of common shared benefits. So before we dive into the individual tools, we'll go ahead and just give you some high level, really the most important benefits of these for both the custom email and the custom web domain. So the first one is kind of this improved business perception that I touched on in the last slide. So the idea of white labeling. So your apps, your web apps kind of come from your own business and not necessarily from Fliplet. So it doesn't expose that you're using Fliplet for your web apps or your regular apps. It creates this kind of cohesive professional image, again, allowing everything to kind of align across your business needs. And just giving you that kind of unified identity across all channels. So you may have a great website, you may have a great app, you may have a tool built with a web app by Fliplet, but to kind of keep those unified across all the channels, you want to make sure that they have a similar naming convention, etc. So this kind of allows you to pull that together for yourself. So the consistency and unified communications is also important. So having that kind of unified naming convention allows your page to potentially be recognized a bit more than a Fliplet app page would be. So if you have your business name in it, someone's navigating to your website or web app that you've built, they can kind of see that that name is associated to your business. Again, same with emails coming out of your apps. You've built a great app for your team, for your business. Any emails coming out of that may have before had a Fliplet name attached to them, but now they're coming from your overall business name. So consistency and unified communication, really important here. Trust and recognition. Speaking again, this kind of ties in all these 3 points is when a user, a app user, a web user, a client, a customer, whatever, is seeing an email coming from your business name or a web page coming to your business name, it kind of gives them that trust and recognition that, hey, I know that this is XYZ's business website or their app, and they're not really confused by maybe that Fliplet name coming out. All of our avenues that we use for web apps and email communications are completely safe and secure. So there's nothing to be alarmed by with using those or continuing to use those. But this is just kind of giving you that extra cherry on top to be able to customize a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to dive in and talk a little bit about the custom email domain feature. We'll give you a quick demo of kind of how it looks and will function. And then I'll pass over to Simon to talk about custom web apps. But to begin with, so what is a custom email domain for those of you that aren't familiar with it? This is a domain that allows you to specify where your emails are coming from that are within your Fliplet apps. So currently, as we mentioned before, emails coming out of Fliplet apps are coming from a support@Fliplet type email address. So that Fliplet bit of it still is in there. Once you set up this custom email domain, they will come from an at your domain, so at your business, at whatever you want that domain name to be. Again, unifying your business with these emails coming out of that app. So a couple use cases of this, just to give you a better idea. If you're collaborating with one of your team members on building a Fliplet app and you send them an invite to kind of review your app, it will say, hey, Simon, Sophie would love you to review her app and give her some feedback. That's going to come from, say, a support at your business name email address. So when I see that, I'm going to say, oh, this is from an internal team member that works with me that I want to help collaborate with. If I wasn't familiar with Fliplet, I may be seeing a Fliplet email address and not really sure what that's about. So a good use case there. Something like form submission email. So if a user is submitting a form, you're getting feedback to an internal team member. Again, they can see that feedback is coming from an at your business email address and not a Fliplet email address. So again, allowing them to kind of have that oversight that what is coming to them in their inbox is meant to be coming from them for your business. And another one that's pretty important and can be super useful is the notification email. So say you're holding a partner retreat event and you want to send out an email that a session is starting or a session has changed. The email will go out from your domain again saying, hey, everybody, this session's starting. So if I'm quickly scrolling through my phone, I see, okay, my business is sending me this email instead of a Fliplet email address, say, and I'm not really familiar with what Fliplet is or that I have an app with Fliplet. So again, not super critical to have this feature set up. It's allowing you that customization. Nothing will change with the functionality if you don't use it. But it really is a super great add-on to allow you to kind of elevate your app and that customization. Okay, so we're going to jump into a quick demo of this for you. So just before we begin, this is currently in our QA and UAT stages of development. It's not fully functioning in here, so just to pre-warn you that I'm going to talk you through it. I think everything high level as it's functioning is useful for you to see. There will be some extra add-ons to this when we release it, but we wanted to kind of give you guys a taste of what it looks like. So here, what you're seeing on the screen is your Fliplet Studio account. So this feature is going to be available for all organization admins only. So they'll be the ones that kind of have control over this to set up. So I'm currently in my Fliplet Studio. I'm going to navigate to my organization dashboard. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and you'll see I have all my options here in my organization to manage it. So I'm going to navigate over to my settings tab, and you'll see here kind of organization name, domain, invite info. This is all information that currently sits here. So if I scroll down, I will see my custom email domain configuration. So really easy to find. It's sitting in the settings of your organization. All configuration will happen within this tab. You don't really need to go anywhere else in Studio to set this up. So you'll see here, I'll be asked to put in a custom domain. So that's going to be what my domain is that's related to the email address that I want to be sending these from. So I'll go ahead and input that name here. I'll then go ahead and determine what I want that custom email address to be. Again, this is something that all the email address or all the emails that will come from. So I want to make sure it makes sense for my business as a whole. So here are my apps@mydomain.com, and I'll go ahead and add those. So once those are added, you'll then be provided with some DNS records, and those you'll go ahead and put into your own domain provider. So depending on how you use the setup may be a little bit different, but the main high level here is those DNS records that you're being provided. You want to go ahead and pop those into your own DNS provider. When I come back here and have done this, you'll see, again, not here currently, but you'll see a verify button that you'll go ahead and verify. This will start the process to go ahead and get that configuration happening. So I will see all of that happening real time here in the dashboard. Once it is confirmed and verified, I will see a status in green that says verified. I also will receive a test email from that email address that I've input there at the top, letting me know that everything's set up and configured. So once it's set up and working, I can always come back into this interface and edit my email address if I wanted to change it, reconfigure, use a different domain, etc. So super easy to manage and use, all from your settings. We obviously will provide you guys with full information on how this will work, and support documentation when it's ready. So if we pop back to our presentation, please, I will quickly talk us through some setup recommendations. So we know you're all eager to use this, so we're giving you a few recommendations on what you can do to kind of kickstart it and set up before it's ready for you to go. So in general, we recommend you setting up a new segregated domain for the custom email. This kind of minimizes risks and protects your day-to-day operations. So we don't want to disrupt any business operations using a kind of already used domain. So we do recommend using a separate one. We also recommend using a subdomain that is connected to your primary domain. That is an option, but again, we do say using a separate segregated one is beneficial. Also to point out that this feature is available across your organization as a whole. So right now, if you set this up, all of your emails coming out of all of your Fliplet apps will use this domain. So to begin with, that's how the feature is set up. In the future, we may be looking to do some iterations where you can set it up on an individual app basis, but for now, it will be kind of a blanket across all of your apps. So with this in mind, we do suggest that you keep a general email address. So something like a support at your domain or feedback at your domain, something that's going to make sense across all of your apps. I wouldn't necessarily put the specific app name, again, because this will be used for all of your apps across the board. So just a few setup recommendations to talk about relating to custom email domain, and we'll touch a little bit more on this later in the webinar. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Simon.
Hello, everyone, and cool. Right, so we're just going to touch on the custom web domains now. So, what is custom web domains? So, this is a feature that allows you to customize the web domain, as Sophie mentioned, for your apps, so you can white label them completely. Custom web domains, sorry, web apps at the moment are currently prefixed with apps.flipbook.com, and with a custom domain, you could have events.your actual business domain.com, or maybe a completely different domain altogether if you want to have it completely segregated. So this gives you a few use cases, such as adding interactive features to your web page. You might have a calculator, you might have some events, a map, whatever it might be. Could be event registration. So you might want to give your branding and that white labeling to your event registration app. Or maybe it's for learning and maybe training courses for internal purposes. So SEO benefits. So obviously with unlocking the capability of having a custom web domain comes more benefits with regards to SEO. And what can we do there? So improve ranking. So if you're using or affiliating closely with your own business, you might be able to benefit from that with backlink quality. You might be able to have search engines prioritize because it's more related to the things that you're talking about. Maybe your domain name itself is attributed to what it is you're trying to achieve. Maybe you've got event in there, for example, so it's going to be do better with the search engine ranking. And also keyword optimization. So you can include your relevant keywords within your custom domain, which can help obviously improve your site's SEO performance. So how friendly are the Flipbook web apps at the moment? Well, in short, they are quite friendly, but obviously this is a few extra elements here that we need to kind of touch on. So first and foremost, I'm going to kind of start from the bottom up here. The current SEO capabilities are basically you cannot. So by default at the moment, Flipbook web apps are not indexable by search engines. So therefore, there are no SEO capabilities. However, that doesn't mean that your web apps are not almost pre-ready, to a certain extent for SEO optimization. There is a lot of standards that we obviously try to adhere to, which helps attribute to good performance with regards to SEO. However, this is a customer collaboration exercise. You are building your own web app here, so we can only set up the framework. There is still your content, the way you design your app, and also the sort of performance, which is heavily influenced with regards to how SEO performs with the various SERPs like Google, Bing, etc. So you've got to make sure your content is still relevant, and of course, driving to what your goals are. So there's flexible SEO solutions. Users can opt in and opt out of this. It can be turned on and off, basically, depending on what plan you're on. So how friendly are our web apps at the point of launch and then in the future? So available at launch, you'll be able to have XML sitemap generation. This is a crucial part of what search engines look for. They give you a framework of the pages that are available. Schema markup customization. So some social platforms expect or hope to expect certain elements, and you'll be able to customize this to your needs. There's search engine indexing, as mentioned earlier. This was previously not available, but this will allow you to not only make it indexable, but you can also customize. So if there were certain search engines you didn't want to be accessible for, you would be able to override and exclude those. As currently exists, all web apps are SSL, HTTPS encrypted. So, this is a nice tick off the box there. URL structure. So this is something we're also looking at to better form out your apps. And of course, there's the metadata. So this is a new feature that we're adding in to make sure, again, that what search engines are looking for is present and clear and expected. One of the existing features, which is obviously going to be very beneficial for SEO, is the image alt text. this is already capable within your mobile web apps. And mobile friendliness. Well, we build mobile apps, so naturally this is something we're already well versed with. And coming in the future, some things that we're going to be looking at are AMP, so accelerated mobile performance sites. So these are views of which search engines like to see. Gives them a nice clean snippet of what your site is. And then there's, of course, enhanced static rendering. So for those that are not familiar with this, again, search engines prefer this side of sites, basically. So we're going to be looking into this to, again, further enhance the performance of SEO. Now, expected configuration. So we haven't quite got a demo for you for this one yet. However, we do have some slides which we can show you. So it's going to be very similar to how custom email domains is configured. You'll be able to publish your web app either to the Fliplet domain as currently exists or to a custom domain. And very similar with the custom email domain, you'll be provided with some DNS configuration, and you'll be able to go to your provider, whichever DNS provider that is, and enter in this information, and the handshake will allow us to, well, essentially take that over. There'll be some SEO settings, so you'll be able to add these to your pages, as can be seen on the right here. You'll be able to set the title, description, and you'll also be able to modify some other information in regards to what screens you want to actually be available from indexing. When are they available?
Okay, I think that's back over to me. So how can I get them and when are they available? So I think I did have a peek at one of the questions that came in, and this was one of them. So we got to your answer without going to the questions. But these are the email domain. Custom email domain is available on all paying plans. So if you're currently on a paying plan, it will become available in that settings tab for you. Free users will need to upgrade to a paying plan for this to be available to them. Same with our web domains, custom web domains. As we move forward into the publishing process, you'll see that option there. If you are on a paying plan, you'll see the option to configure that custom web domain. If you're on a free plan, you'll have to upgrade as well. So any plan that is currently paying, you'll see both of these features available for. For SEO, it's a little bit different. The free, public, and public plus plans will have this enabled. So SEO will be enabled, but you won't be able to use that customization piece that Simon pointed out in that last slide where you're choosing kind of screens and information on that. Private plus, and enterprise plans will have it enabled and also be able to customize that configuration. So as we mentioned, all can be turned on and off for SEO, but if you would like to customize your configuration, you'll need to go onto one of our paying plans listed here. Oops. And when are they available? So we are currently working on our email domain work. It's in our testing QA phases, and hopefully will be available definitely before the end of the year, but hopefully before the end of Q3. Web and SEO are beginning development in the next quarter. So we're hoping to release these to you in late Q4 or Q1 of next year. So these dates can kind of change. We will keep you updated. Your account managers and CS team usually have a pretty good gauge on how the work is carrying along. So they're probably the best place to go for updates on those. So as we mentioned before, these are coming to you. I did kind of speak to a little bit earlier on our custom email domains on what you can do to prepare, but just a few high-level topics that you can kind of take away, maybe talk to your IT team about or do the research first. You can kind of start planning or registering your domain. So for web domains, what would you want that to be? What makes sense to you and your business? Having a think about that and going to start through that registration planning process. Also planning what you might want your custom email domain to be. Again, at the minute, we do recommend it being something generic as it's going to be coming from all your apps, but having a think with your team on what you might want that to be and what works for your business. And lastly, improving your app's content, as Simon said earlier in his slides, really dependent on SEO compatibility is really dependent on the content within your app. So the better content, the more likely you are to kind of be SEO recognizable and optimized. So we suggest maybe having some review of what's in your app, if that's something that you're interested in, seeing kind of how you can review and optimize your content. Okay. Key takeaways. So our custom domains are coming soon to Fliplet, as we mentioned, very soon. Custom email and web domains have really great benefits for your business. The implementation is super straightforward and easy to configure, as we showed you with our quick demo. It sits in your settings. It's really easy and straightforward to use. Both of them will have that similar interface where you can quickly set up and do your configuration without too much effort. Availability will be for both will be by the end of the year, Q4, potentially Q1 of next year for web domains. So time to get prepared if you can. Again, if you have any questions on specific preparedness instructions, let us know. We can give you any info you need. We're happy to talk you through it and get you ready once this is available. Q&A. Let's see if we have any questions. So we did have one come in about if this was going to be available on the app level. As we mentioned to begin with, it will be available on the organization level as a whole. We're hoping this is super helpful and everyone's excited about using it. And from there, we can kind of iterate on our first version of it and allow it to go on the app level as opposed to the organizational level. And I did go through on the last slide, all paying plans will have this available on their plans. Free plans will need to upgrade to use. And I think we have one more question. Let me run through. Can I change the configuration of my domain if my info changes? So yes, you can easily do that. What wasn't shown right now in that demo was an edit button. As soon as it's configured, you do have the option to go back in there and edit and start your configuration over. So you can fully remove your configuration if you want to, if you no longer want to use it. Really easy to go in and kind of set up again, or you can always edit that email address if you've changed your mind on what you want it to be. How are we doing on time? Let's do one more question. What emails will come from this new domain? So at the minute, all emails that are coming from all of your apps will use this domain. And anything coming from your organization as well in relation to sign up emails, etc., will also come from that custom domain. And we will also have kind of full documentation on how this will work with more granular questions on setup and the overview of how it will work for you guys if needed. So I think that ends it for today. Again, thank you everyone, and we look forward to sharing these new features with you in the upcoming months.